the one thing you always hear is I fear for my life.
Yeah.
And that right there alone gives them qualified immunity.
Because you can't defend that. Like, you can't make somebody feel like, oh, no, well, he didn't fear for his life. They saying that. So it's like, it's things like that like, I feel like people don't know. And that's why people are always asking, like, well, why isn't this changing? Why can't, because there's all these laws and set for like, you know what I mean? And when, like, I tell everybody to just, I'm reading a book right now that I meant to get to for a minute, but it's from Angela Davis called Our Prison's Obsolete, right? And like I said, when it comes to prison shit, I just be on it just from talking to my brother so much. And, one of the chapters that, like, and people probably saw the documentary on Netflix, 13, where it's like they explain the same thing, where it's just, prisons is just right after slavery. Like, cops weren't even a thing. They're just slave catchers. Yeah. Turned into, like, so, like, that's whole thing
that's where the star comes from.
Exactly. So, like, the whole thing is just, it's not going nowhere. And, like, one of the things she said, too, in the book was, like, that really had me was, like, she said, prisons are just they're just so normal that, like, you can't really think of a world without them. And you got to think from the time you're young, people say that, like, yo, if you're bad, you go to jail. Then you're seeing people doing it. And you know what I mean? So
it's a fear-based thing. Yeah.
So if we don't got prisons no more, what's going to happen? Right? Like, people just think, like, well, where's the criminals going to go? And it's crazy because one of the things she was saying was, like, slave abolitionists probably didn't see a world without slaves at one point.
That's true.
Because it's so normal that, like, how we going to live without all the, and it happens. So it's like crazy.
There's a lot of reform that needs to be done. And it's so crazy that we don't even think about the words we're saying, because you got correction officers, correctional facilities. Like, these are things to correct people and rehabilitate them to, people serve their time, whatever crime they did. If they serve their time, they get out. One, they did their bid. Like, they paid back whatever it was that they took from society to society. So when they come out, why can't they vote? Why can't they? Why does it have to be put on a resume that they were a felon? Because nobody's rehabilitating these people. They coming out, they actually going in and being surrounded by a bunch of people who are criminals and meet more criminal friends on the outside, and it's just a cycle, and it goes over and over again.
And then, like, it needs to be stopped, but it can't, especially when you get into private prisons and all that shit, because it's just one big cycle of, like, yo, where do you even begin? Where do you start? Where do you begin with this shit? Because it's just bad. And all, like, prisons, what happens is when one prison is built, it just makes it the area have more prisons. Like it just builds more. And the thing that they hide it behind is, like, this will bring whatever to whatever little ass city that's 4 hours away. They'll be like, no, this is going to bring in more money. And it actually doesn't to the city. It just makes them have more money. So, like, the shit is just, but it's crazy because it's just hidden behind the fact that, like you said, with reform, like, that's what is guised under. But in reality, it's not. It's just for profit.
Yeah, that's 100% what it's
that's
for.
it. And like,
we had, what was it? Kamala Harris. She's the VP pick for Biden. Yeah, and she was complaining about releasing prisoners after they got evidence that these people were wrongfully convicted. Yeah. And she's like, well, what's going to happen to the she didn't want to release them because they were making too much money off of the cheap labor that the prisons were providing. And it's like, yo, so now we're putting dollars before people. And
but that's the America way, baby.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
You ain't got that wrong, man.
Nah, yeah. So that's the whole thing. And it's crazy because, like, even in some aspects, like, I'll be against capitalism and people be like, how, you got businesses or whatever. I'll be like, yo, I wasn't, like, I do what I do to just like, you know, I was giving
You don't need Jeff Bezos' money.
Yeah, like I was just giving this. And like a lot of times people look at small businesses, but like, yo, small businesses aren't capitalism. No. It's the ones that make you work for $3.
It's monopolies. Yeah. You got monopolies on products and
facts.
People and placements of
and
goods.
It's like, yo, if you $1 billion industry, why are people working for cheap, no bathrooms? Like it'd be little shit like that. That's like, that's where there's a problem because now, like you said, we put in dollars before people for the most profit. And it's like, yo, it don't even gotta be that serious.
Yeah. But like you said, that's the American way. We are literally drilling holes in the earth, creating earthquakes and natural disasters because we want oil when we got the sun. We got wind. There's all this renewable clean energy, yet we're still dealing with this oil stuff. Like it's ridiculous. But I want to switch gears and go back to the music.
Yeah.
Hip hop is the number one genre in the world right now. It's the most popular type of music. It's the most popular genre, and with that, I mean, everybody knows hip hop culture is black culture.
Yeah.
I had this conversation with a friend of mine, and he disagreed, but I had this, for lack of better term, I don't know how else to say it, but it was like, I feel like because of that, you know, hip-hop has a huge part to play in this, but because it's now the number one genre, it's the cool thing to do, cool thing to see, and cool thing to be a part of. It's like now, after all this time, being black is cool. Not that it never wasn't, you know what I mean? But for the majority of people, you know, they don't.
Nah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I see where you're getting at, and like so for me, I had like when I did the like what you were saying when like King be like, yo, you did the every time I promo something when I release something. One of the things that I did the life like the living isn't fucking easy thing of like marketing wise was I made the life cover because if we was in I don't even know when Life magazine was out, but like if we were in the 60s around there 50s 60s like niggas wouldn't have been on the Life cover.
Absolutely.
You know what I
Rolling
mean?
Stone.
Yeah, so it's like I did that on purpose because of just how I look. You know what I mean? What the images I'm doing is not just Hollywood actors. It's like trash on the street everywhere. There's people riding horses in the city. Like, you know what I mean? It's just shit like I put all that on there. And then when I did the Life, the promo for like the live I just did, you know, it's me and a bunch of like white families just watching like old school to fit like that 60s.
Yeah, he showed me. He was telling me.
Yeah. So like, you know, I did that on purpose because, you know, it's like they gon', you know, I think these people they study it, especially in music too. Like I'm talking like execs and all that shit. They probably rich and white. Probably don't even fuck with it, but they studying it. You know, they're making money off of it. They're duplicating people that they probably can't get. But okay, we'll just make another one. We'll find the next kid that wants to do this, and we'll push his shit and do
money
whatever.
Talks, yeah.
And it's like they're going to steal it, which they already do. You know, they steal it, they look at it, they duplicate it, appropriate it, all types of ways. And you know, I don't think they care to give the credit. I don't think they care to even acknowledge the fact that like, oh no, this like they did with fucking jazz, rock and roll, everything. Yeah. It's like I don't think they even care. But yeah, I think it's just a fucked up thing. And then it's like it gets to the point at what point is it what's it called? Like, is it stealing or is it just inspiration? Because I saw a video the other day where it was like these Asian bulls. I don't know where they was from, but it was like a viral video of like them rapping. But like they had Hennessy bottles. They clearly was in like another country because they was rapping whatever language. But like the beat sounded like a drill beat, and like they're Asian with like somehow they got like curly hair. Like, you know what I mean? Like they had their shit done. They got braids. They got like
people say that they're appropriating black culture.
They got Henny. I'm not gonna say Henny's black culture, but
no,
it's like
I know. I mean,
you looking at they probably just watching the video and like, oh, we gonna do this.
Yeah.
And it's crazy.
I know some Vietnamese people and Japanese people, and some people get upset when they do things like that. Obviously, because we're making very easy observations that where they got it from. Mm-hmm. But when I forget where it was, man, I forget who I was talking to or who I was hearing it from. But apparently, like they love Black culture so much that they are literally getting curly hair. Like, bro, Asians got straight hair.
Yeah, and that's the thing where I'm like, yo, I can't even. I mean, it's crazy because one of the things about being Black in America is you don't even know where you're from for the most part. Like, I consider you lucky if you know where you're from. Like, if you Nigerian, like, I feel like that's just dope, right? And a lot of, people like Blacks in America, you don't really get to know you Black, but your lineage probably stops at somebody's slave master last name, a Johnson.
It's such a strange culture in America. Yeah. I mean, what Jay-Z said in one of his songs, "Home of the Free." What is it? Where the blacks enslaved, and it's like 3/5 of the man's,
Yeah.
And it's there's no other. I mean, slavery was all around the world, but what people don't understand, especially in America, which blows my mind, is America is a country that was literally built on the backs of slaves.
Yeah.
It's not like all these other countries who've been around for a long ass time where I'm sure they had slaves, but they were already an established country, fighting over land or whatever, especially in Europe. But in America, where Native Americans were killed and massacred and all died from disease, to then being brought over, from people from another continent to do all the work. Like, there's no place like America in that sense.
Yeah.
And I could completely see why you say, I mean, Puerto Ricans are Black, Spanish, and natives. And one thing, and I'm sure Puerto Ricans are so proud of where they come from because they can somewhat trace their lineage back. But you don't get that. You don't get that chance.
Exactly. So it's like you think back and you just like
that plays a huge role in your identity too.
Like
especially
our culture,
when you're so proud.
Facts. And our culture is just Black culture is just. There's an American like Black culture, right? And to the point of like, it'll turn into a meme, but it's really true. Where it'd be like, you ever see a meme where it'd be like someone saying like, "Yo, you smell like outside." Like, you know what I mean? Like an older parent saying like, "Oh, you smell like outside," and why everybody that's like Black and like, "Yo," like, you know what I mean? They all like, "Yo, did we all grow up the same?" And it's like, yeah, because niggas is in the hoods growing. It's like, and that's the culture, right? But it pushes everything from the music to the art to movies. Everything is just pushed that way. So I don't know. It's hard to tell if like. What would I do if I was an Asian bull, wherever that was, and I actually have the ability to look at YouTube and see this, and I got a producer who makes a drill beat, but we in Korea or wherever, and it's just like, I fuck with this shit and I want to do it. So I don't know, it's weird. I'm
sure there's I mean, everybody's different, Yeah. So I'm sure there's a percentage of people who are like, yo, Black culture is the shit. Like, this is cool, so I want to adopt some of these things. And also some who are, like you said, people who got big businesses or people who are in those positions are like, yo, who can we bring up next and give that money to be our token person?
And I think when it comes to music and all that, I think I've saw it so many times that like, I'm not about to get mad when another white John has braids. Like, I let that to the people on Twitter to get mad about. Like, they could dispute it all day, but what I'm going to do, get mad every 25 times a white John does that? Or, like, you know what I mean? Say something where it's like that. So I'm like...
There's bigger problems to
focus
on.
Exactly.
Versus, getting angry.
I'm not about to get mad every time somebody just... and it's like, you don't know those people. You talk to them, those kids that I saw, they might just be like, no, we love this shit. Or they might just be like, I don't really care about Black people, but I think this is cool. And now it's a problem, but like, we'll never know.
Yeah. So we spent a lot of time talking about the problems that we've seen, highlighting all those things that, are affecting us directly. And one of the things that I think is a huge reason as to why this became a global movement after George Floyd, and not just an American movement, is because more people are waking up and more people